Got a Chevy Silverado 3500 dually. It doesn't matter. 1500, 2500, 3500. As long as you got that 6.0 liter. And this is a 2003. It's going to work for a lot of years. A lot of years. Somebody's put an intake on here. That's fine. We're just going to pop that off. I already loosened that up, but it's jammed in this fan. Yeah, we'll get that out of the way to start with. And unclip our upper radiator hose out of the bracket. You just put a flathead screwdriver in these clips. Should pop them open. Be a little tricky. I got a small flathead I love using for those. And let's get some 10 millimeter bolts off from that shroud. We'll do that in a little bit after we get the clutch fan off. No, we'll take the shroud off first. Yeah, shroud off first, guys, before we work on that clutch fan. 10 millimeter. And then we got these pop clips that are super annoying. You've got to wiggle jiggle them. Once they get a little dirt in them, they don't like to do anything. Grab them with some pliers or a flathead screwdriver and pop them up this smaller circle, and then once the smaller pin comes out, then they'll pop right out. So let's get this fan and intake taken off. All right, that only took a couple minutes. The hardest part was the little plastic pieces right there that go down in there. Had to work them with some forceps. Where's my forceps? Right there. And a little baby screwdriver. They came out. Now we got a lot more room to play. We've got get this upper radiator hose off. So we're going to use our big pliers and take that upper radiator hose off. I'm going to kill a mosquito. Bam. And this little hose right here plugs into this hose, so we just plugged it out. We kept the clips on because it was easier just to pull it right out of the plastic. They snap right back in. We had a mass airflow sensor up here. There's a little safety clip you need to lift up on it first. This one, it was missing. This radiator does not have a drain. There should be a drain right down there. I know some diesels. It was on this side that I did not too long ago. The drain, that was a diesel. We're looking at 6.0 here. All right, let's get that radiator hose out of the way and get our clutch fan removal tools out. All right, so make sure you get your coolant bucket out for taking that hose off. You can drain it right away by taking one of the lower hoses off if you want to, before taking the upper hose off. They're just kind of a pain to get to you to get everything, the shroud out. All right, we're all set up with our tool. All right, so we got a 1 7/16 wrench on there. That's the size that was closest to fitting it for me out of my kit. I've got a spanner wrench. It's just a big piece of metal with 2 metal dowels in it. You can make your own if you got metal laying around, angle grinder. But you can get them from the store, and you can rent this whole kit from the auto parts store, almost any auto parts store. That's the kit that had my 7/16 wrench with the square boom. All right, we're resting that spanner wrench so that our water pump pulley doesn't turn on the nut of that. Probably be a good idea to grab somebody to help to keep this wrench from moving, but I don't have any help today, so now I'm going to pull up on that breaker bar. Hopefully the spanner wrench stays in its spot, and it'll crack that clutch fan free. Once it cracks free, it should spin off really easily by hand. All right, cracked it free. This one, no problems. All I did was crack it free, and now it's this loose. So we're gonna just spin this fan off, set it on the ground, and then we'll take our belt off. We've got, I believe, a 15 millimeter right here, and all we got to do is turn it counterclockwise, right? Counterclockwise brings the pulley in. We could take the belt off. All right, that was clockwise. Clockwise makes this pulley, the belt, you can grab the belt off. All right, so we got a 15 millimeter here. and a 15 millimeter right here. You can't see it. We're gonna take those off. I'm gonna put an extension on so I can get straight. We've got our clamp right there connected to the thermostat housing. My new water pump came with the new water thermostat housing, so that's pretty cool. You got the two clamps there that go to the heater hose. We're gonna get those clamps off, and then to get these hoses off, we're gonna twist back and forth until it breaks free, then wiggle it off. Sometimes they're a pain. You gotta pry them off, pull them off, twist them off, whatever you gotta do. All right, so those are the bolts and the stuff that's coming off. And then we also got these bolts holding the water pump on. I think those are 10 mil. We got a few here and a few there. I believe they're gonna be different sizes, so we're gonna keep track of which hole each bolt came out of. Hoses are all off. Those hose clamps are kind of a pain. All right, we got all our bolts out. They were all the same size. And our water pump just comes out as a whole assembly here. A little bit of coolant left in there. We're gonna clean up those gasket surfaces. See where that red is? Yep, where the water pump mates to the block. Those are the gaskets there. They're metal with seals on them, and they're still attached to the pump side. Our new water pump comes with the housing, so we don't have to exchange it over. Oh, there's 3 bolts in that tensioner, by the way. And it comes with new gaskets for us. So I'm gonna take my gasket remover tool. Use whatever you like best. Wire brushes, whatever. Get this spot, this whole area, and that whole area nice and clean. There we go, guys. I got it all cleaned up. Used my gasket remover disc. Go out and buy one of these tools. They're like 10, 15 bucks. Gasket remover discs. Love them. They were nice and clean down there. Sprayed it off with some brake cleaner and a rag. Wiped it down real good. Nice and shiny. Cleaned off the spare bolts with the wire wheel. And we're going to set this in straight just like this so we don't lose the bolts falling out the front. But we have the gaskets on there. No RTV needed or anything. There we go. If you got the metal gaskets with the rubber, no sealant needed. All right, so it's a lot easier with 2 people, but I'm gonna attempt to set it in there where it goes and thread those bolts in without losing the gaskets. All right, here we go. We're on there tight. I don't know what the torque spec is on that. I could look them up, but I just got them tight. Don't snap them off in there, all right? 3 on this side, 3 on that side, all the same size bolts. All right, that was pretty easy to do by myself. Now we're gonna start reconnecting hoses. This one's a little sloppy on there. I don't like that. This new water pump. I don't like that at all. Wait a minute, that's because that one goes there, dum-dum. Ah, there we go. Where's that other hose hiding? Right down there. Bada boom. All right, we got to put our tensioner pulley back on. We got the 3 bolts. Boom, boom, boom. And gonna put our clamps back on. Sick. All right, friends. 3500. 6.0 belt routing. All right, here we go. Here's our belt routing. A lot more room with that shroud off, putting the belt on. Right there's a little picture of the routing. V8 engines. All right, that's the routing. Crankshaft tensioner all underneath the idler, over the alternator, under the power steering, over the water pump. Zigzag S under the crank. 15 millimeter on your tensioner. That's gonna loosen up our belt. Hold the camera with my other hand. Tuck it underneath there. And bada boom, make sure the belt is in the grooves of all the pulleys that have grooves. Looking good. Let's go. Works for 5.3 and 4.8 and 6.0. Next step, get your lower shroud in there. It fits nice and neat in the grooves. Then put your fan on. It should spin on like butter. Don't cross thread it. So we'll spin this all the way on, and then we'll give it a little tightening with our big wrenches. After we do that, we can put this top half of the shroud on. All right, we got our upper hose on. I went with a regular hose clamp on that side because that spring clamp was giving me trouble. We route our coolant hose to right here. It's got a little hookaroo, There we go. Now all we gotta do is put this intake back on, tighten up the hose clamps on it, fill it up with fluid in the reservoir right there. Once you fill it all the way up with coolant, when it's full, start the motor. It'll go down. Leave the cap off the coolant. It'll go down. It'll suck it down. And then add some more. Put your cap back on. Let it run till it gets hot. Get all the air bubbles out of the system. Keep an eye on the temperature. Go up and down the road for a drive. Get it totally hot. Let it cool down totally. And then top off the fluid again. That should about do it.